let's talk about tone today. I've got a C harmonica, got the rocket out today. I want to explore tone a bit and kind of dissect the things that might be impacting you from getting the best tone possible. I was talking to my good buddy Nick Clark yesterday about this. We were hanging out and he said, one thing I try to tell people is just, you're an open vessel. You got to relax from top to bottom. And that kind of sums it up. Top to bottom, meaning your whole body, from your lips all the way down to your toes, really. But, in essence, the core or your diaphragm all the way up through the mouth. There's things that you can be examining. And the more open and relaxed you are, that's the general rule. Just be open, be relaxed. But let's get specific. I want to talk about airflow last, but I want to talk about the things that maybe have just skirted by you and you just never realized you're doing it. Becoming self-aware of what's really happening is the quickest, I should say, way to get past these hurdles. So, the lips. Let's talk about it from a pucker player's perspective. Most people are puckering, but the same rule really would apply for a tongue blocker, okay? It's just less, I'm noticing it happening a lot less in a tongue blocker than I am a pucker player. Pucker players, examine the tension around your lips, the muscles around. If you are playing with a really tight pucker, and you're getting these sounds, there's too much tension there. Not only is there too much tension on there, but what's happening is it's also preventing your lips from going as far over the harmonica as you need to be. So the best tone that I'm finding from a pucker player's perspective starts with getting the harmonica deep into your mouth. Take a look at how far my lips are going over the cover plate. If you're really tense, you can't do that. You're playing on the outside. You're lucky if you're even getting one note. And that's obviously a huge problem. So then let's say, okay, you start to relax these lips. You're only creating enough tension to get the shape you need for the pinhole shape. Now you can get your lips around and that's helping. Next hurdle in the mouth, going in order, would be the tongue. And what's happening, this is a big one, so check this out. This might be you. When you're playing the harmonica and you hear these types of sounds on your clean, if you're trying to go for just draw notes without a bend, and you're getting these semi-flatted, notes, microtonally speaking, they're micro-flatted. They're not even necessarily a half step. It's that you don't realize it, but your tongue, you think it's flat maybe, but it's not. It's kind of humped into this little shape, which is doing what? It's obstructing the airflow. That's what you do when you're trying to bend a note. We're intentionally trying to raise the tongue and disrupt that airflow into a different shape. But when you want to get a clean note, which is probably even a bigger problem for beginners than trying to get a bent note, is just work on just getting a clean note first. Make sure you can hit. Make sure you can match that. Don't practice these with vibrato. Just one clean hold on the note. And if you'll pretend like there's this tongue depressor holding down the tongue, you're saying ah, you'll start to get much better tone. All right. So again, you really got to relax that. Pretend like you've been shot up with a little bit of Novocaine and the tongue is just relaxed. Ah is the shape. Remember, ah versus ooh being more of the shape in that bent position. Ah, ooh, ah, ooh would be some of the most common articulations people share when they're trying to get you to bend. Then we examine, let's say you start to, hey, this is working, right? I cleared up that problem. The throat. This one's harder to talk about, but I would just say that the throat is somewhere to examine. We want this to be as open as it can so that it can resonate. The sound we're getting has as much room to resonate. So if you can say, it's like saying ah, but with no vocal cords. you can get this muscle to sort of push out. And if you can do that right here, you'll start to get better tone when you breathe in. The biggest area to pay attention is the draw notes. Blow notes are forgiving. There's nowhere to go from there. But because we have the availability to bend the notes on the draw notes, you need to be very sensitive and careful about approaching playing just a clean draw note. And then finally, being in a relaxed state of mind and getting your breath to become regulated and even will help you get the best tone possible. So that means slowing down your breath, using less air, but keeping it very regulated, even draw. And then if you're thinking about when you change direction and go to a blow note, you also want this sort of even exchange. You can keep that evenness in your breath is the best way to say it, regulated. It takes a long time, I think, playing this diatonic harmonica to get to the point where you recognize how much air is enough for the best tone. There's a very small window where this happens, where I call it the sweet spot. There's areas where you can play too quiet and your tone is thin and it's really not loud enough, even the volume suffers. And then there's a sweet spot range. And then there's a point where you play too much air and you get these harsh sounds and unintended bent notes. And just your technique is harder to control because you're just putting too much air through the instrument. So if your harmonica is going flat all the time, you're constantly blowing out reeds, you're using too much air. Not just using too much air, you're breathing more from your chest than you are your diaphragm. Because when you pull from your chest, you're stressing out that reed really quick. I mean, you can hear how bad that sounds. These are shoulder movement indicates that chest breathing. So check all these things out. Hopefully that will help you out a little bit. And I will see you soon with another video.